Well, dear students, today we are going to attempt a great lesson, the great books born out of great minds. This essay has been written by APJ Abdul Kalam, who has been our president of this great republic. Now, what does he say about great books? The clear cut message is that the great minds, the minds who think great, they have written books, and whatever they write, that becomes great because their thinking is great, their perceptions are great, their imagination is great, and their thinking is great. So, friends, reading habit from young age and continuous acquisition of knowledge through books indeed make human being appreciate multiple aspects of social life and become autonomous learners. First, let me talk about the culture of excellence. Now, what does this mean? Kalam Saab says he addresses to the young minds of this great nation that reading habits, whatever reading habits we acquire in the young age and continuous acquisition of knowledge, it means the greed for acquisition of knowledge, the habits of acquisition of knowledge from the very beginning, from the young age, make us great. And through books, this can be only through books. Now the things have changed. We can acquire this knowledge from Google, from e-contents, from YouTube, etc., etc. But the main thing still is books. The knowledge which can be acquired in any mode, in any situation, that is through books. So it indeed make human being appreciate multiple aspects of social life. It means the social life which we are living, which we want to become, that is coming to us through books and become autonomous learner. So we, through books, we becomes autonomous learner. It means whenever we read books, we acquire knowledge and we are learner autonomously, automatically. Now he talks about culture of excellence. First, what is culture of excellence? Excellence is not by accident. He says, he addresses us and he tells us that excellence is not by accident. We can't become accidentally excellent in everything. Excellence has to be acquired. It is a continuous process. And whenever we do continuously, whatever we do, that inculcate us as a habit, and that becomes excellence. It is a process where individual for an organization or nation continuously strive to better themselves. So what is excellence? It is a process and continuous process striving to better oneself. If a person strives to better himself, if he betters himself through continuous process, that becomes excellence. They set the performance standard themselves. They work on their dreams with focus and are prepared to take calculated risk and do not get deterred by failures as they move toward their dream. When a person wants to acquire knowledge, he wants to get excellence, there are chances that he may fail, but that should not deter us, that should not stop us. Whenever we want excellence in anything, we want continuous striving for anything, we should be careful, we should be strong enough to think that we may fail also. But even then, we will have to strive again, we will have to continue the process. Then they set up their dreams and they tend to reach the original targets. A brave man, a great man, a great mind is that which is not tempted by the failures, but he strives to do things in a different way, and he is always prepared for failures, but he has not made up his mind to leave the things. He can't shun the things. He will have to strive, he will have to work hard, he will have to do that thing continuously. Only then he can reach the excellence point. They strive to work to their potential, and in the process they increase their performance, thereby multiplying further their potential. Now, what does a great mind do? What does a great man do? Is a, what courage he inculcates in him? That courage is, that greatness is, that he is striving hard, he is working continuously without being deterred by anything, without any obstacle before him. Maybe there are obstacles, there are deterrents, but he is not fearful of those deterrents, those failures, but he continuously strives to do the things. And only then he can hope to reach the excellent point. This is an unending life cycle phenomenon. Now, what is striving for excellence? This is a unending life cycle phenomenon. They are not in competition with anyone else but themselves. And now, what does a great mind do? A great man does not do great things. He do the things in a different way. He doesn't follow the people. He leads the people. So, the basic point of greatness of a human being is that he does the things differently. Although he is not different from us, but he thinks differently, he does differently, he strives differently, and he reaches in a different path. He leads a different path, and that is why we call him a great leader also. That is the culture of excellence. And the second point of culture of excellence is that a great man is not in competition with others. He is in competition with himself. He wants to strive hard. He wants to strive again and again. He wants to work again and again. And only then he refines his abilities. And this refinement of abilities is called excellence. The author inside. Now, Kalam Sahab tells us, I have so far met 16 million young men. He says that he has met 16 million young men. Interacting with the young is like living in a world of stories. Now, to meet a young person or a young lady is like living in a world of stories. We get new things, we get new perceptions, we get new ideas, we get new imagination from those young minds. For children, everything is a story, because children takes it as a story. Whatever you tell him, he thinks it as a story, he imagines it as a story. They want to become astronaut, pilots, soldiers, doctors, sailors, and so on. Now, what does a young boy do? He imagines himself. He wants to become. If he sees astronaut, he wants to become an astronaut. If he meets a pilot, he wants to become a pilot. If he meets a soldier, he sees a soldier, he wants to become a soldier. If he meets a doctor or goes to a doctor, he wants to become doctor. If he sees sailors in the sea, he wants to become sailor, and so on. So, young minds are very different from us, because they see and they want to become like things, like persons whom they see. They live in landscape of make-believe. So children are always living in a landscapes in imagination, and they live in make believe. They spin fantasies. Now a young child always make fantasies. He lives in imaginations, in stories. After growing up, they absorb novels, film, plays. Now when a young man comes in he is in teenage, then he reads novels. He inculcate habits of novel reading. He sees plays, he sees films, and he want to become like the hero which is in that film. Even sporting event and criminal trials unfold as narratives. Whatever he sees it as a narrative. Whether it is story of a criminal or a story of a great Mahatma or a sports event, it is like a living fantasy before him, an imagination before him, and he may inculcate those things in him. It suddenly strikes to me now, after living for 82 years, that I am also living a story. Now, what does Kalam says? He says that after 82 years of age, I am still living in a story. So, means the mind of the author is like young child, and he wants to live a new life always and every day. Am I not every day conveying events and thoughts in words? He says that he is always conveying, he is always writing words, and those words make great stories. They may make novel, they may make anything which is useful for the society, for the children, for the nation. Are we not making and beautifying the reality around us? So he says every one of us, every individual of this world is making and beautifying reality around us. Whatever is reality around us, we are always redefining it, refining it, making it and beautifying it. Can we say that human beings are wired for stories? It means the human beings are always prepared to give stories, they are prepared to make stories. Is there an author alive in our minds creating narrative about the past and the future? It means there is always a great author sitting in us, and he inspires us, he tells us to write things, and those things, those writing can make great stories. Perhaps stories help us navigate life's complex social problems, just as flight simulators prepare pilots for different situations. Now, he compares our life, our writings to a simulator. As a simulator prepares pilots for different situations, and then he takes the flight and becomes a pilot. Similarly, our stories, the stories of the past, tells us about social complex problems like the simulators. It means those stories prepare us for the new life. Storytelling has evolved like other behaviors to ensure our survival. It means storytelling is becoming our behavior, and it has become our behavior, and it ensure our survival. It means it makes us prepare for survival. Imagination is an awesome evolutionary adaptation that allows people to teleport mentally into alternative worlds. Now, what is imagination? Imagination takes us to other worlds. The body can't go anywhere, but imagination can go. The things, the places which we can't see, our imagination can see. It can give them a definite shape, it can mold them as a definite character. So imagination is very important for us and for storytelling. Imagination gives us, in other words, the near magical ability to experience what we did not actually experience. So it means imagination prepares us to prepare us to think in a different way, and the experience which we did not actually have in our life, the imagination tells us about that experience. A story is a thing that does rather than a thing that is. So, what is a story? A story is an imagination, and it does whatever thing is, it defines that thing. It is a tool with measurable utility rather bestow on storyteller. So, what is this thing? A storyteller is a great imaginer, and he imagines things and then tells these things in the words. This makes storytelling a central component of leadership. So, what is leadership? A storyteller is a great leader. He has different perceptions, he has different imaginations. When we wrote India 2020 in 1998, it was a story that steered the Indian economy. So when Kalam wrote India 2020, it was written in 1998. So it was a story that steered the minds of people and also the Indian economy. So we became prepared for that economy which will come in 2020. 22 years before that year. It means 1998 Kalam told us to be prepared for 2020, and what shape our economy will take, that was told in that book, told in that story, told in that imagination. Of course, storytelling has a darker side too. Now, Kalam tells, or the author tells, it has a darker side. It makes us vulnerable to conspiracy theories, advertisement, and narrative about ourselves that are more truthy than true. Now, storytelling has a drawback also. It has a darker side. It can tell us conspiracy theories. It can it can be influenced by advertisements. It can be influenced by narratives about a person, about a nation, or about a society. Everything is in the eye of beholder, but that depends on the person who sees that thing. If we think darkness, if we imagine darkness, that is darkness. If we imagine light in a particular thing, that becomes light. So it is the perception of the beholder which makes the thing good or bad. Right, wrong, sin, good, duty, responsibility, love, hate, all of these depend on who is looking. So we can see the darker side of things, we can see the lighter side of things. That is in our mind. In whatever way we take a story or a thing, that depends on our mental ability. If we are positive, we will think positively. If we are negative, we will always think negatively. So it is the beholder or the reader who takes that thing as he likes. New form of stories generate their own new set of problems which require yet more solutions. Of new forms of stories, mean various types of stories give us great or the different problems or the different solutions. Now it depends on us to see whatever side we want to see. We can see difficulties, problems, or we can see solutions in them. So it is a two-way theory. It has a negative side, it has a positive side, and the listener or the reader or the beholder, he is the best judge to take whatever side or whichever side he wants to take. The human brain has been on a slower evolutionary trajectory than the technology, and our brain still respond to content by looking for the story to make sense out of experience. Now, human mind is not as quick as the machines, and whatever thing we read or we get, that depends on the slow perceptions which our mind is acquiring. That means we will have to cope with the machines through our minds, and we can sharp our minds with the great reading habits, with the great learning habits. So this is all about this chapter, great books born out of great minds, and some two paras are there which these will be taken in the next lecture. Thank you. Have a nice day.